I was 6, we were asked at my primary school to paint a flower for the Labor Day parade. I wanted to make this flower the most extraordinary and beautiful, something very special. So my imagination prompted me to paint the flower that had each petal of a different color. Of course, flower like that never existed in nature. Even being 6, I knew it. But it did in my imagination, and that made it so amazing for me. However, the teacher looked at it and said that the whole idea didn't work out for me, and my flower was excluded from the parade. It only took me over 30 years to pick up a paintbrush again. This is the story of Inner Landscapes, painting what you do not see. There is a saying when it comes to the painting, paint what you see. And it's great because everyone has a different vision. Every single painting is the vision of the artist who created it. However, at some point in my life, I started to paint somehow things that I could not see. Emotions, mental states, some thoughts, tapping into the unconscious mind. All that started somehow coming up on paintings, and it was basically only painting what I could not see. Externally, what we encounter during daily life, it's shaping our perception, perspective and memories. There could be mountains, sea, forests. It all matters. But also internally, we live within the landscapes of thoughts, voices, emotions, beliefs and dreams. Those inner landscapes are, for me, visually manifesting in my abstract paintings. They start being visible on canvas through color, shape, line, composition and form. And why do I call them landscapes if they actually are not landscapes? I believe they are partially inspired by landscapes, what I see on an everyday basis, or maybe what I saw in past. However, landscape for me, it's shaping. It's the area that you shape, and that area it's not visible. This is area of your landscape inside you. What is it shaped with? What kind of color? What kind of emotion? What kind of state is there? Happiness? Is there anger? Is there fear? All that can create a very complicated landscape. In the beginning, there is chaos. It always starts with chaos. And this is how it all starts. There is no plan, but there is hunger for pure expression, color, shape, line, mark. That chaos is needed because it breaks fear and opens us to self-communication. In that initial stage, there is never guarantee that the page is going to work in regards to composition or color choices, there is a lot of spontaneous response involved and working with your intuition. This is also the stage when accidents happen, and actually they are quite wonderful because it's just pure expression and they help you to lose the control and letting go. Sometimes in this chaotic stage, I can spend quite a long time and things do not work out for me. So the best way of acting is just giving it time, walking away and maybe leaving it for a while. It could be minutes, hours, sometimes days, or even weeks. It really works beautifully with journals because you can start on this chaotic stage with few pages and then just leave them, close the book. Sometimes I forget about those pages and I find them like weeks later, even don't remember when and how I created them, and suddenly that chaos makes sense and I can move on to the next stage. It's like everything's been poured out and now it's time to gather elements in more harmony. So sometimes I flick through my journals and find this unexpected chaotic page and it hits me, the beauty of it. It speaks to me and suddenly I can see how I can connect those colors, or it needs to be done with this page in order to progress a little bit further. And this type of art is very much about not knowing the outcome, not knowing what it's going to look like, and it's all about trusting. That if you listen to yourself and your intuition and you let it to be your guide, there's something magical is going to happen. But it's very difficult for especially people who create certain type of paintings or are used to represent certain objects in their paintings to understand that why do you do it. So in this type of art, what happens between the painter and actual painting and the painting process, what happens in the creator's mind, and how that process can guide you is much more important. And if beautiful things happen eventually, it's just a bonus.
this chaos in front of me. I am returning here to the canvas that I let rest for a while. That period of living painting for some time I call creative marinating, and it is rather me who needs to marinate with time. The painting sits and waits, and then the moment comes. Here I start with simple shapes and blocking some areas with paint. Something new is emerging, and at the same time something needs to go and disappear or transform. I search for shapes, trying to rely on my intuition rather than any specific technique. I create new and get rid of the old at the same time. Some areas are left untouched, as it feels right to leave them the way they were. So this stage is not about getting rid of the first chaotic layer and painting fully over it. It's more about deciding what to keep and what needs to go. It's the process of tuning into our inner voice and being able to see how to transform the painting to a new level. It is the process of discovery based on both experimentation and trust. And as time goes by, some images start to appear and demand to stay in the painting. Some forms and lines will suggest visual communication that we cannot deny. Let's just watch here for a while how the painting progresses.
I started those in landscapes in very small journals because it felt safe. and I didn't have to show it to anyone. I could close the journal and just put it away. And somehow more and more I had to create, and then also went into bigger journals, and gradually I moved to canvases. And I have to say, it wasn't my idea, it was the painting and art that was guiding to carry on the bigger format.
Here you can see I ended up with some rather abstract form of bridge. And it was so clear in this painting that this image needed to stay, that I carried on, guided by this bridge shape. And as I progress, I reach the stage when I put the paint brushes away and feel that this is now moving to the final stage, and it's time to leave that painting for a while again. Here is the last stage of finishing touches. I use here a variety of mediums. I can reach for pens, pencils, markers and pastels to return to those previous areas and give them a bit more definition. Regardless the fact that those lines are much smaller than the whole painting, they can still impact it in quite a significant way. I play with lines, dots, circles, variety of shapes, doodles, and some just spontaneous drawing, till I step back and I know this is the inner landscape that I just communicated from within, and I painted what I could not see.
What I know is that I have to create every day to maintain that connection, and I know that those are the places, those inner landscapes where I belong, and those landscapes come from within, and those are the places where I come from.